What's up, y'all? I'm going to say this calm and real slow because church has butchered this line for generations. I got to talk about this. When Yahusha said, "It is finished," he was not announcing that Torah died. You understand? He was not saying the covenant was over. He was not saying, all right, everybody, the law was canceled, grace only now, all humanity, come on in. Y'all need to stop with that, man. And that all that is church theater, right? And that's what happens when people inherit slogans instead of actually reading the text. And first of all, we're going to fix that language right now, y'all. Because I'm actually getting tired of hearing it, right? It was not a clean little church cross the way people romanticize it, right? The text also uses tree, stake, or execution wood language. And that matters. Real talk. Because the moment church starts polishing the instrument, they start losing the pattern. Do we understand? If you read Deuteronomy said, "Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree." If you look at Acts, it says the tree. If you read Peter, which is Kepha in Hebrew, it says the tree. But church, for some reason, they love that cross, man. Because symbols are easier than covenant. Let's deal with that phrase, "it is finished," right? The word behind "it is finished" means completed, accomplished, brought to its appointed end, assignment fulfilled, right? But here's the real question. What was finished? That's the question, right? And that's where church folks start lying. Yeah, I said it, right? They'll tell you stuff like the old covenant was finished. The sacrificial system was finished. Torah was finished. The wrath was satisfied, right? All humanity got a universal escape door. And now everybody can just receive. And that's... The text don't say that, man. What was finished was his appointed suffering. His cup, right? His mission to endure that hour. Do we understand? The Passover pattern being completed, right? The prophetic witness, right? Assigned to that moment. Disciples, right? That is what was finished. Watch this. "It is finished" was not Yahusha announcing the death of Torah. It was Yahusha declaring the completion of his assigned suffering. Did y'all get that? Right? Because church folk took one sentence and built an entire religion on a misunderstanding. And another thing, people keep saying, "He came to die." Real talk, man, that's too small. And that's too churchy, and it's too easy, right? Now, did his death matter? Absolutely. For sure it did, obviously, right? But listen, if you reduce his mission to just dying, then y'all already flattened the covenant, bruh. Because what he came to do was seek the lost sheep of the house of Yasharel. What he came to do was confirm the promises made to the fathers. What he came to do was restore covenant order. What he came to do was expose false shepherds. What he came to do was call people to repentance. What he came to do was bear witness to truth. What he came to do was confront hypocrisy. And yes, lay down his life within that mission. He didn't come to start a brand new religion for the whole world to call Christianity. He did not come to erase the covenant, y'all. He came to confirm it. And this is where the passages get dangerous. Please use your discernment. Listen to these daggone passages, man. Because they'll say stuff like, the old covenant is over. The law was satisfied. The sacrificial system is over. It's done. Now, grace only. Really? Stop. Because then why after his death do we still see disciples going to the temple? Why do we still see covenant rhythm? Why do we still see order? Why do we never hear Yahushua saying, stop Sabbath now, stop Moedim now, stop covenant now? The Torah no longer matters. You know why? Because he never said that. As a matter of fact, he never said that. Not even once. Not one time. Show me, I'll shut up. So what happened? Church confused fulfillment with cancellation. Yes, they did. And those are not the same thing, man. If you read Yirmiyahu chapter 31, which is Jeremiah, right? Yirmiyahu 31 already told you what the renewed covenant would be. Not Torah deleted, not Torah burned, and not Torah retired. Torah written on the heart, y'all. That means the renewed covenant did not erase Torah. What it did was it intensified accountability. Let me say how it needs to be read, man. Real talk. Let's keep it real. The renewed covenant did not erase Torah. What it did was it relocated Torah from stone-only witness to heart-level accountability. What? And then these church folks, they hit you with this church favorite. I swear. He satisfied God's wrath. Man, that's classic Protestant courtroom theology. Do we understand that? But Hebrew covenant is deeper than that, right? This is not angry father or son as wrath sponge, cosmic violence transaction, pagan deity finally calmed down. That's no. That's not what that is, right? That's not how covenant reads. This is covenant broken, judgment due, representative suffering, atonement pattern. Do we understand? Passover witness, broken people needing reconciliation, the cost of a people out of alignment. Bottom line, Yahushua was not a pagan sacrifice to calm an angry deity. He was the covenant witness who bore the cost of a broken people. What I just said should just be quiet. Real talk. And then they love saying stuff like this. He fulfilled the law, so the law is satisfied. Again, I was about to say something. That's not what that means. Fulfill does not mean cancel. Fulfill does not mean abolish. Fulfill does not mean retire. Do we understand? Fulfill does not mean make irrelevant. It means feel full. I'm going to let y'all sleep on that. It means establish properly. It means embody rightly. It means bring to intended meaning. Do we understand? And Yahushua literally said, according to the text, do not think I came to destroy Torah or the prophets. That's what he said. But church hears this. I fulfilled it. So now you don't have to do it. And that's like the exact opposite of what he said. I'm going to say it in one line, right? If fulfill meant end, then Yahushua contradicted himself in the very same breath. Now let's talk about grace, because that Philip guy, If you look at his sermons, he said folks in the so-called Old Testament were living in grace too. Okay, and for once, there's a sliver there. For once, he might got something, right? Because Noah found favor, right? Abraham received promise before Sinai. David received mercy, and Ruth aligned. Ruth aligned and was shown favor. So yes, Yahweh has always been merciful. But here's where church folks go freaking retarded, right? They use grace to cancel accountability. And that's a lie. That's a lie. Because in the Hebrew text, grace never meant lawlessness. It never meant no covenant order or do whatever you want or disobedience is fine now. That's not what it was. Grace is why rebellious people were not cut off immediately. Can I break that down? I'm going to say it the way it needs to be said then. Because I don't think y'all feeling me. I can feel y'all. I don't think you feeling me, right? Grace did not replace obedience. Grace is why disobedient people were not cut off immediately. Did y'all get that? And that's Bible. And then church folks go real wild with this one, right? The grace of the cross retroactively saved David, Ruth, and everybody before him. Stop. I ain't gonna lie, when I heard that, I was like, trying to sound cute, right? First of all, David was not sitting around thinking, one day Jesus will die on a Roman cross, so I'm good. Y'all, I swear, I don't know what y'all be thinking. Because that ain't it. David trusted the mercy. He trusted the covenant and the name of the Father. Ruth was not saved by future church theology either. Ruth aligned with the people, the covenant, the Elohim of Yasharel. Way before our time. So let me clean this up too. David was not saved by church theology in reverse. Yoo-hoos. David was preserved by the covenant mercy of the Father. And while we're on this topic, let's destroy another church fairy tale. Right? No. David and Ruth are not floating around in heaven. They're not floating up there right now. No. They are not up there in white robes doing worship conferences. No. They are not looking down from glory, cheering you on. They are asleep. And sleep language is all through the text. Daniel says, many who sleep in the dust. Yahusha said, Lazarus sleeps. Shaul even uses sleep language. Even Shaul, the one y'all love so much. Understand that resurrection is future expectation, ladies and gentlemen. So no, the righteous are not out here doing celestial tourism. Do we understand that? That's not what's happening. Listen, I'm going to make it plain. The righteous are not floating around in white robes hosting church revivals in heaven. They sleep, awaiting resurrection. And that's the real problem with these sermons today, man. And that's the problem with sermons like this when dudes be preaching that fairy tale crap. They'll take a deep covenant event and they'll water it down. They'll water it down into cross, wrath, debt paid, law ended, old covenant gone, all humanity just received. And that's why it sounds so powerful to y'all, man. Because if you notice, church is real good at compressing covenant into a slogan. But understand, slogans are not text. And volume is not revelation. So listen, I'm about to close, right? When Yahusha said, it is finished, he was not announcing the death of Torah. He was not abolishing covenant. Do you understand? He was not starting Christianity. say something. Right? He was not yelling to the whole planet that law no longer matters. He was completing the suffering appointed to him. Do we understand? He was sealing witness. He was walking out the Passover pattern. He was enduring the cup assigned to him. Do we understand? He was standing in covenant all the way to the end. Yeah. And the church took a covenant execution. They took a yada yada. That's crazy. They took a church covenant execution and they turned that thing into a universal altar call. No fairy tales, man.